Hey everybody, welcome back to Tech Odyssey. So I'm back with my 72-hour review of the LG Velvet. So I've had my hands on it, I've been using it the last 3 days with the SIM card in it, and I have to say, I kind of like it, especially at the $599 price point. And of course, you can't do a full review on a device in just 3 days, but I think it's important for these type of videos because we can talk about impressions. When you buy something, when you first get it, you take it home, a day or two, the little, excitement factor might wear off, and you're like, you know what? Maybe I might want to take this back, or maybe I like it and I'm going to keep it. And we're going to talk about some of this stuff in this video. But before we get to that, I do want to say, if this is your first time stopping by the channel, I appreciate you being here. If you enjoy the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell so you can get updates when new videos come out. Now let's talk about the Velvet. All right, so here we are with the LG Velvet, the brand new $599 Android phone. You might be familiar with their previous phones, the G8, the G7, the V60 that recently came out. Those are all going away. They're going to start naming them real names, starting with the Velvet, which I'm actually pretty happy about that because I get tired of all these. I mean, we're on like the S20 now, or coming up on the Note 20. So, S3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You kind of run out of numbers after a while. So I like this strategy. It's a sharp looking phone. It looks just like a flagship phone, but there are some reasons that people might not consider it one. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong, but really what you get at the end of the day is a phone that looks sharp, works like a champ, and it doesn't break the bank. And those are three really, really important features for me in a phone. Now, if you want to go spend $1,000, $1,300 on a phone, $1,800, you want to get a fold or whatever, go right ahead. Spend your money however you want. And I do want to say before I get further into this that this is not a sponsored video. I was sent this out by LG as a review unit, but not compensated. They're not getting to see this before you are. None of that stuff. Just my review. Now, I do like LG phones. I bought the G7, the G8 on my own. I've been a fan for a long time when they get it right. Lots of times they don't get it right, but some phones, they do pretty good. This one is a no-frills phone. And by no frills, I don't mean it's not premium, because it certainly looks nice. It's only like 129 grams. The sucker is light, ergonomic, it's sleek. It looks really, really good. And I like what they did with it, especially with the cameras on the back. With this raindrop design, you've got the 48 megapixel camera up top. It goes down, you've got the 8 megapixel wide, the 5 megapixel sensor on there so you can do your portrait shots. And then you've got a 16 megapixel selfie on the front. If I told you that this phone wasn't running a Snapdragon 865 processor and it didn't cost $1,000, you probably wouldn't believe me, because using the Snapdragon 765G in here, I've been really impressed with it. It feels just like a super fast phone. Now, normally, if you get a mid-tier phone, and I like to call this is a mid-tier premium is what I like to call it, because it's got a 7 series Snapdragon, but it's got everything else other than facial recognition, which I really don't understand that. It drives me up a wall. I wish it had facial recognition. It does not. But it does have the built-in, fingerprint sensor in the screen, which works perfectly fine. But I still want it to unlock when I pick it up. So that's the only thing that might irk you, because it irks me. IP68, 4300 milliamp battery. It has 5G, which is really crazy at $599, and it works really well. I mean, I've never used AT&T. Let me qualify that statement. I haven't used it in a long time. I used to have them like 6-7 years ago. This is my first experience with 5G on AT&T, and I'm just in my garage. I mean, I'm getting 100 megabytes download and like 50 upload, which is pretty crazy because I can hardly pull that in on my router. So the service is good. The signal seems to be good. It has stereo speakers, which sound really nice. It has the headphone jack on the bottom. It doesn't have the quad DAC, but you're not going to notice any difference. If I didn't know better, I would say that it did. I used my in-ear monitors and I listened to them last night to test it out, and I was blown away when I plugged it in. It sounds really, really good. So if somebody wants to harp on it and go, yeah, it doesn't have quad DAC, they probably can't tell the difference anyway, and it sounds pristine. I was talking to a buddy of mine, El Jefe, and he's an audio guy, and he's like, yeah, I heard the same thing from somebody else. The audio on here is legit. Now, it does have the Google Assistant built in on the side, which is a nice feature. And on top of that, you do have the dual screen. So I don't think it comes with the bundle. You can pick this up for $5.99 at AT&T now. It's going to come out on other carriers, T-Mobile, Verizon, before the end of the summer. At least that's what LG says. And then you've got the dual screen option, which is really nice. All you have to do is just pop the sucker in there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, and then you're good to go. And we'll hit the little button over here to turn it on. Turn on dual screen. There we go. So now that I've turned it on, you have to do that whenever you put it in while it's already turned on. So really cool. It's got the second screen on the front where you can see your notifications and the time, and then you open it up and then Bob's your uncle. You've got all this extra screen real estate. It works out well. It doesn't have a built-in battery. You use this crazy mag lock down on the bottom, which is a mag lock connector. I'm risking dropping my phone right now. It holds on real tight, and that's how you charge through to the phone while it's in the case. But it's really nice, and it's still got access to the buttons on the outside. And you have a nice case, so you don't have to worry about scratching up the screen. So this is really good. As far as using the dual screen, I'm honestly not a huge fan just because of the fact that it kind of gets in the way. Like if you're just lounging around in bed, it's nice. If you're like on a plane and you're traveling, you know, like people used to do, then it's nice because you get the extra screen real estate. But normally just for like texting and stuff, I kind of feel like it gets in the way, but you can always flip it around to the back, it'll shut off, and then it's just like using a phone without it. So that's nice. I do wish it had a built-in battery, and it is a little weird that there's the cutout teardrop notch up here on the case when there's not actually a camera there. So why they feel the need to do that, I don't know. I guess just so they kind of look uniform. But the screen is really nice. It has a 6.8-inch OLED display, which looks gorgeous. The color saturation, the tone, the brightness, it's all really good. I enjoy it. It's crisp for watching videos. It's like 20 by 5 by 9 aspect ratio. It's almost cinematic. So it is a little bit thinner than most phones, which means that it feels lighter and it feels narrower and easier and more ergonomic to hold in the hand. So I like that quite a bit. The speakers sound really good. They've got nice volume. They've got good depth. It's great for playing video games, watching YouTube, watching movies, whatever you want to do. The 4,300 milliamp battery does seem to be okay so far. I don't want to ding it too much, and I'm not going to dive too deep in the weeds. I'll cover this in my full review in about a week and a half or so when I get that out. But the thing is with the battery, batteries have a break-in period, and especially with Android 10 when it has the adaptive battery in it, as you use the phone for about a week, it's going to learn your habits. It's going to learn the apps that you use, when to turn things off, all that good stuff. It will extend your battery life. It's like the first couple of days, it'll seem kind of on the sucky side. And then magically, it's like, wow, the battery got noticeably better. And that kind of happened to me today it's kind of on day 4 now that I'm filming this. I expected it to be at like 40% earlier, and it was still at like 67. So I was impressed with that. And I thought it worked good. So battery life, you're probably gonna be able to get at least 5 to 6 hours screen on time. 5G is gonna be an issue when it comes to battery life though. Like I said, the first day I got about 4.5 hours, and then the second day, about 4.5, 5 hours. And that's just because I think it's kind of, working itself in. So we'll readdress this with some real screenshots and battery test stuff once we get to the full review, but not in the 72-hour impressions. This is kind of in that period where it's like, all right, I'm still kind of feeling it out. See if I like the phone, see if I like what's going on with it, and so far I do. It has IP68 dust and water resistance, and I'm going to show you how to take this out real quick. I get a lot of people that ask me how to take the phone out of the case. So you push on the top right corner, you dislodge the case from the phone, push on the top left, and then it'll pop out just a little bit, grab it and lift it up. Easy. Now, it does have Pro Camera mode on it, which is nice. It's something LG does. You can take some really good pictures that way. I do like the Pro mode, and then in addition to Pro mode, they call it manual camera. You can use the 48 megapixel or the 8 megapixel wide angle. It does take good pictures. I haven't been able to take too crazy many pictures because we're had a tropical wave here. It's rained all 3 days since I've got this. There's actually a picture of my pool that I finally got set up last night. I started that like a week ago, and it rained like every day, and I'm like, holy cow, we've got a tropical storm coming. Let me get this put together and fill up with water before it ends up broken. So it does seem to take pretty good pictures though. I really like the saturation and the sharpness. That's kind of the two things we're going to talk about here, because it falls, like there's iPhone, which is kind of natural, but a little on the yellow, warm looking. And then there's the oversaturated look of Samsung. You know what I'm talking about. This has a very natural look to it, but it's not too warm where it gives you that yellow kind of feel to it. but it has some light saturation when it comes to like the greens and the blues. They really pop and stand out. Like this picture of the sky looks phenomenal. So I am a fan of the camera. Overall performance, it works great. You can play games if you want. I know some people are like, oh, games, who plays games? A lot of people do, surprisingly. So if you don't worry about it. But if you do, you can play Fortnite on here, 30 frames per second. It works out great. You can play World of Warships. You can play PUBG. You can play Call of Duty Mobile. All that stuff. And with the 5G connection, you can be very competitive because you don't have to worry about losing out on signal loss. You've got that high-speed connection, especially with the high-speed upload. So when you're out and about, if you want to stop, well, I mean, if you still go out and about, but if you're out and about and you want to play some games, hop in, you can do that with this. And with the battery life, 4,300 milliamp, that's pretty good for a 765G chipset. I want to say that was in the similar battery size in the OnePlus 8 that I reviewed recently, and with the Snapdragon 865, it wasn't so great. It's better with the 765. And yeah, that's about all that I can think of. Oh, it also has active stylus support. So if you have an active stylus, you can use it with the primary screen or the second screen. Not just the regular one, like the regular Joe Schmo, like $10 stylus. It has to be one of those active ones. And I don't have one, otherwise I would show you. But it works, and you can use it kind of like a note, especially with the two screens. So get this for $5.99. Go get yourself a $40 stylus. You're cooking with gas. It has 128 gigabytes of storage. It has expandable storage up to 2 terabyte, which is quite a lot. You can put tons of stuff on there. It also has, it also has 6 gigabytes of RAM. That's the only question mark that I have, but I haven't run any issues with it. Like, I haven't got any memory warnings. It's not slowing down. It still works good. So I don't really have any real world complaints. It just seems a little on the low side for a phone of this caliber, and maybe for some future-proof applications. You know, the more and more competitive and the more futuristic we get with our phones and our games and our apps, they take up a lot more space. They use more RAM. It's going to be fine, you know, probably a year or two, maybe 3 years down the road. If you hold on to your phone that long, it would be something that someone like me who uses a phone very heavily would be concerned about long-term. Do you need 12 gigs? No. Do you need 10? No. 8, I think, would have given you a little bit of cushion. I would have felt a little bit more comfortable with. But like I said, it hasn't impacted the real world performance. Still works great. And at $5.99, it's really no big deal. And I think that's kind of a revolving theme with this phone. You just don't notice the difference. Like, if you were to get a $1,000 phone and put it next to this one and run them side by side, let's say you get a Samsung Galaxy S20 and put it next to this, other than the refresh rate, if you even have that turned on, you're not going to notice any difference. It's snappy, it's smooth, it's responsive, it looks beautiful, and hey, this is a sharp-looking phone. So if everything works perfectly, it's kind of like an iPhone. If you pick up an iPhone 8 and put it next to an iPhone 11 or 11 Pro and you run them simultaneously, you're not going to notice any difference. And nobody questions the specs on an iPhone. I mean, it's got like 820p screen on the iPhone SE and the iPhone 8, or even on like the iPhone 11, it doesn't even have a 1080p screen. So whenever you have an iPhone in that category, nobody questions the specs, but Android is all about specs for most people. They're like, oh, this processor, this resolution, this refresh rate. People get wrapped around the axle all over those things, but normal people just want something that works, and they don't want to notice when it doesn't work. And this right here, I think, gives you that experience in an Android phone for $599. One other thing I want to talk about briefly is accessories. When you get a new phone, you want to make sure you can get accessories for it, whether that's an iPhone, whether it's an Android phone, whatever. And you may not necessarily want to spend the $50 for the one case they have at AT&T or T-Mobile when you go into the store. I looked online. There's 3 different cases that I would recommend for this. There's a Rinky Fusion case, which is like $10. Rinky makes great cases. I've reviewed a ton of them. Solid. There's a Spigen case that you can get. There's also a Ghost Tech case. So there's like, you can check them out. I'll have the links in the drop down. You can check those out if you're interested. They're like $10-15. Really solid options. And then as far as screen protectors, link in the drop down as well. But the one that I would recommend is the Super Shields. I've used those on a lot of phones. They come with everything you need to install it, which is nice, and it's fairly inexpensive for the glass ones. The only problem with the glass, curved edge display, they only stick on the edges. It's not a full adhesion, which means that they don't really hold on as well. They have a tendency to pop off. If you want to get a film style, you get like the wet application, like a armor suit, I'll have the link in the drop down as well for that. But those work really well, and I usually use those when it comes to curved edge displays. But that's it as far as some accessories. I just wanted to make some recommendations if you're in the market for one of those, because I hate spending $30, $40, $50 on a case. You go into the store and they might have one or two. If you're looking at getting one of these, you could just order the accessories online, already have them ready to go on day one, and save yourself quite a bit of money. So that's about it. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully this has been helpful for you and giving you some of the information you need if you're looking into getting one of these phones. And like I said, I wanted to kind of cover some of the stuff where it's like, all right, I just got this phone. Let me see what I think about it. Is it a keeper? Is it something that I want to see about taking back? And with the 3 days that I've been using it, I am very happy to say that I like this phone a lot. And I'm looking forward to using it longer and doing my full review. So that's all. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section. I'll get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell so you get updates when new videos come out. And like I said, I will have the full review out probably about a week, 7 to 10 days, around there, ballparkish, so I can have more time with it. But thanks for watching. I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you guys next time.